Hello, sir. My older sister has that tattoo too. The Hell Angels biker froze in total shock. The sun was already high, washing the street in a hard, honest light, when the world stopped for one man who thought he had buried his past. In the middle of a crowded daytime avenue, engines idling and dust floating like memories that refused to settle, a single sentence shattered a life built on noise and leather. A biker known for never flinching, never slowing, felt his breath lock in his chest as fate reached out and grabbed him by the soul. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a moment. If you believe kindness can rewrite destinies and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel Only Kindness. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Rafe Calder had ridden with the Hell Angels for over 20 years, always in daylight, always fast, always forward, because night had a way of whispering names he could no longer answer. His bike gleamed under the noon sun, black chrome reflecting storefront windows and passing faces that blurred into one long road. People knew him as a legend, a man whose silence carried weight, whose presence bent the air. What they did not know was how carefully he avoided mirrors, how he never looked too long at his own skin, especially the faded tattoo on his forearm, inked back when hope still had a pulse and mistakes felt romantic. That day, Rafe had stopped outside a small community center to deliver donated supplies. The Hell Angels had been trying something new, trading fear for service, and Rafe had volunteered because busy hands kept his mind quiet. Children spilled out of the building, sunlight catching on their laughter, their energy cutting through the rumble of engines. Rafe stood apart, arms crossed, watching the boxes get unloaded, telling himself this was enough, that doing good without attachment was safer. Then a small boy stepped closer, squinting up at the towering biker as if trying to solve a puzzle too big for his age. The boy's name was Samir, a bright-eyed child with scraped knees and a backpack too large for his narrow shoulders. He stared at Rafe's arm, at the old tattoo worn soft by time and weather, a simple design of a compass rose wrapped with a thin line shaped like a crescent. It was nothing special to anyone else. To Rafe, it was a grave marker. Samir's voice rose clear in the midday air, innocent and unafraid, pointing out that his older sister had the same tattoo. The words were not thrown like a challenge. They landed gently, precisely, in the one place Rafe had left unguarded. The biker froze, muscles locking, the street noise dimming as if someone had turned a dial. Heat rushed to his face, then drained away, leaving a cold he recognized too well. Rafe had not heard that name spoken aloud in 17 years. He had not allowed himself to imagine it etched on living skin. His sister had vanished during a summer that never ended, swallowed by a system that forgot children and a world that moved on. He had searched until the road took more than it gave, until grief hardened into something he could ride away from. He had inked the tattoo the day he stopped looking, telling himself it was a promise kept, even though it felt like a surrender. The boy's words dragged Rafe back to a time of cracked sidewalks and shared secrets, of watching over someone smaller with dreams too big for the block they grew up on. Daylight sharpened everything. There was no darkness to hide behind, no night to blame for ghosts. Rafe's breath came shallow as he crouched slightly, lowering himself to the child's level without fully understanding why his knees bent. He learned that Samir's sister was named Aurelia, that she worked nearby at a clinic that patched up people who couldn't afford to bleed. The tattoo, the boy explained with simple certainty, meant never losing the way home. Rafe's chest tightened, because that was exactly what it had meant when Aurelia had sketched it on a napkin long ago, laughing at how serious he looked while pretending not to care. Rafe stood up slowly, the street coming back into focus. He handed off the last box with hands that trembled just enough to notice. The Hell Angels around him felt the shift, the unspoken signal that something was wrong, but they respected silence. Rafe asked for the clinic's address in a voice that did not sound like his own. He told himself he was only curious, that coincidences happened. He had told himself worse lies before. The ride across town felt longer than any cross-country run. Sunlight flashed through trees and glass, each intersection a test of nerve. Rafe's mind replayed every choice, every road taken and not taken. He remembered the day Aurelia had disappeared, the unanswered calls, the official shrugs, the way hope had thinned until it tore. He remembered the night he joined the club, trading family for fraternity, pain for motion. The clinic sat on a corner bathed in afternoon light, its windows open to let in air and life. Rafe parked across the street and waited, heart pounding against ribs that had taken worse hits. He watched people come and go, watched time move forward like it always did, indifferent to dread. When she finally stepped outside to help an elderly man into a car, Rafe knew before he saw the tattoo. He knew by the way she tilted her head, by the line of her shoulders, by a presence he had never stopped carrying. Aurelia was older, stronger, her hair tied back with purpose. The tattoo rested on her wrist, crisp and sure, the same compass rose, the same crescent line. The world narrowed to that small piece of skin glowing in daylight. Rafe felt tears threaten, a sensation so foreign he almost laughed. He did not move, he did not speak, he let the moment breathe because it was real and it was fragile. When their eyes met, recognition flickered, then settled into something steady and profound. There was no explosion, no collapse. There was only the quiet understanding that life had been cruel and generous in equal measure. Aurelia crossed the street without rushing, sunlight following her like a blessing. She stopped a few feet away, taking in the leather, the scars, the familiar set of his jaw. They did not use words. They did not need them. The space between them filled with years, with questions and answers too heavy for sound. Rafe felt something inside him loosen, a knot tied so long it had become part of him. The midday traffic flowed around them, ordinary and miraculous. Aurelia explained, later, in a small park where shadows lay short and honest, how she had survived, how systems failed and strangers helped, how she learned to be her own compass. She spoke of choosing the tattoo as a reminder that even when lost, direction could be reclaimed. Rafe listened, every sentence a stitch pulling him back together. He shared his own story without romance, owning the mistakes, the running, the nights he pretended didn't matter. Days turned into weeks under bright skies. Rafe began stopping by the clinic, not to linger but to contribute, to fix things, to stand guard when needed. The Hell Angels followed his lead, their daytime rides shifting toward service projects and protection details that asked nothing in return. The neighborhood noticed, children waved, doors stayed open. Rafe learned about Samir, about the way he looked up to his sister, about the nights Aurelia worked late and trusted the world to be kinder than it once had been. Rafe became part of that trust, carefully, deliberately. He did not try to make up for lost time. He showed up for the time that was here. The tattoo on Rafe's arm stopped feeling like a scar and started feeling like a map. In the daylight, it reminded him that paths could converge again, that endings were not always final. He rode less, walked more. He laughed, awkwardly at first, then freely. He slept without engines in his ears. On a clear afternoon, the community center hosted a small celebration. The sun warmed the pavement as music played and tables filled with food. Rafe stood beside Aurelia, watching Samir race with friends, the future wide and bright. Rafe felt gratitude settle in his bones, heavy and welcome. He understood that redemption was not loud. It was consistent. It was choosing, again and again, to stay. If this story has reached you, if it has stirred something tender or hopeful, please take a moment to like the video, share it, and subscribe to Only Kindness. Stories find their power when hearts open to them. Just before we close, we have a special request for you. Please comment below with one word that describes what this story made you feel, or share a moment when kindness helped you find your way. Rafe looked at the tattoo one last time as the sun dipped slightly, still day, still bright. He knew he could never change the past, but he also knew the future was no longer something to outrun. In the honest light of day, he had found his way home.